arrivals.
Why the fuck did it go that way?
Rundown of things. The one thing I learned and that has stuck with me is no right turn on red. For me, it was a lack of insects in England. Not that they don't.
I thought they said incest. I was like, what?
Swampy land around me. When I showed up at my dorm and saw there was no screen on my window, I was just thinking about all of the bugs that are gonna get in my room. I got one fly the entire month.
Actually, no, that's not gonna work because the doors.
Your window open at night with the lights on, you might get a couple of moths and the occasional spider. But we're really lucky with our relative lack of biting insects and flies.
False alarm.
It was subtle at first, but it eventually boggled my mind how old everything was, and it was still integrated into everyday life.
Thank you.
Like in the UK, drinking in pub that had been in the same spot since the 11th century, or eating dinner at restaurant in an 18th cathedral, or in Prague going to club in a 14th century stone cellar, or staying a hotel brewery that had been operating since the 15th century.
Why look like
the
this?
oldest building in my vicinity is from the 1750s, which is prehistoric by US standards. But like someone in Europe,
now I could just set the
that no one is using and they're like,
the
let's
windows.
turn this into a disco. I loved it. I live in England, and the
This is about to be the noisiest house ever.
1700s.
Oh yeah, I did that for a reason.
Because the village itself and the surrounding buildings and other pubs from the pre-Doomsday Book era, 1086. I forget sometimes just how old this country is. I lived in Germany for 8 years from 19.
Okay, I'm gonna just delete that because I'm just delete it. Put the windows up first.
States, but there were recycling bins on every street corner. It wasn't just a green bin, then a trash can. It was a giant blue bin. One section for green glass, one for brown glass, one for clear glass, one for plastic, and one for paper. Oh, and going to a German school, students took public transit. There wasn't such a thing as a school bus. Beer tap in the uni cafeteria. Drinking one beer with your lunch from time to time is not considered special at all in Germany. Drinking 2 beers every day for lunch makes you an alcoholic. How easy and unencumbered by useless booze most things are. Getting on a 5:30 train from Brussels to Berlin, show up at 5:20, and get laughed at by the Germans who will finish their beer at exactly 5:28 because they know the walk from the bar to the platform is 1 minute and 57 seconds. States that would require showing up at 3:15 because of at least 4 security checkpoints and 8 lines of people who can't figure out how an escalator works.
Escalators, escalators, escalators!
In Germany, kids playing in around the lake naked. In Amsterdam, I saw a guy get jacked in the head with a bottle, take 2 steps back and then pass out. All his friends scattered. Then the 2 old man shop owners were like, lol, kids, am I right? I am from the NYNJ area, and have seen firsthand how out of control sporting events can get. Guys, mostly, getting drunk, vandalizing property, throwing cans and bottles, fighting, etc. So when a group of friends went to Germany for Oktoberfest some years ago, we also wanted to see a football, soccer game. So we got tickets to see Bayern Munich versus some other German team in what, I think, was a meaningful game. We went more for the experience versus being huge.
This is coming along pretty nicely.
I think the score was 5-1, so lots of action. The energy in the stadium was undeniable. Fans singing, jumping around, yelling for the entire game. Game ends. Munich wins.
I think he said game ends. I was like, what?
Virtually an entire stadium, it seemed, exited to go to this one nearest subway stop. There are 4, maybe 5 cops standing at the entrance steps. Although, this is going to be a huge problem. Thousands of people, lots of them intoxicated, heading toward these 5 cops at this one exit. It's going to be a disaster. Some guys start to pee on a fence within their view. What are they doing? And then, as we watched nervously, the crowd reached the cops and just stopped. Everyone stopped. No one fought. The guys finished up their business, zipped up and joined the queue. Cops let enough people by to fill the first train. Then the rest stopped, and so on and so forth until our group went.
This
it
makes
was incredible. That scene couldn't happen in America.
Oh, this looks fine.
Maybe this was an anomaly.
I feel like this will look fine.
Event at MSG. There's an army of state troopers to keep order. In addition to
I have no idea how to make a car,
undercover
but
cops, event security, etc. and brawls and things still erupt with regularity. This was amazing to us. We still talk about it years later. That was some respectful, organized and orderly crap. The urinal type things in Amsterdam were interesting. Also the way English people say urinal. Paying to use a public restroom. I get why though. Just a horrible feeling if you really had to go and you don't have any change. Every night in Spain, around 3 AM, this massive fleet of street scrubbers, vacuum mobiles, and water hoses appeared and cleaned the entire city for about an hour. It was like 100 people every night just cleaning the city. The following morning, all of Salamanca was spotless. That crap was magical. Salamanca is beautiful. This is the best bratwurst I've ever had. And this is
the fuck is that smell?
Cologne train station bratwurst takes some beating too. 1. I went to the Netherlands for a music festival over the summer last year. The night before I went to a show and met a Scottish guy who came over and said, "You look American." I replied yes and he immediately started talking about American politics and the military. It was weird how he assumed I was completely knowledgeable about all upper level government dealings, but otherwise was a chill dude. 2. The fact that there's no AC. I didn't realize it wasn't standard and was melting in my hotel room. 3. How uncommon asking for ice is. I've never gotten stranger looks when I would ask for a drink with some ice. One person at the festival had to confirm she understood me lol. I stayed with a family in France for a week. The first thing the son did when I got there was to show me their American refrigerator. I was confused at first because it was a Samsung.
An American an American refrigerator. Interesting.
I was happy to have ice for the first
I
time
didn't know.
in 2 months.
Appliances.
In Scotland there was a bomb threat at a local gas station. The news anchor that was covering it interviewed locals about how they felt about this terrifying event.
From the side it looks kind of ugly, not gonna lie.
I don't know much about that, but I'm sure the government is taking care of it.
Like what the fuck? Why it look like this?
The government and not wanting to button blew my mind. I was in Italy and wanted to grab a bite and a beer for some lunch. I left the flat and I was flabbergasted to find the entire town was empty. Everything was closed. Not even the neighborhood dogs were around. Lived in Italy for 3 years. Definitely took a while to adjust to this though. And you also learn the specific times for places you want to visit since
what
they
the hell is that?
For a few hours. In Italy there is virtually no threshold for how much distance should be left between a speeding car and any obstacles, including pedestrians. It is zooming past. A bus driver will rush down a narrow cobblestone street with about a centimeter to spare between the sides of the bus and any parked cars, walls, ancient monuments, or playing children. At a pedestrian crossing in Italy, if you approach cautiously and hesitate waiting for cars to slow down for you, you'll get nowhere.
Oh, I have an idea.
Out there like you own it and then they stop. The scooters just drive around you.
I just saw this randomly.
Barely even look before crossing, but it's scary as crap for tourists. I was in Spain as an exchange student. I had bronchitis after
I don't know why. I just want to see if this will work or not.
Took me to the which gave me a pill that eliminated the illness entirely under 2 days. I slept, woke up 100% better. It was banned in the USA. I wish I could recall its name. In Spain, everyone appears to be very thin, yet I swear eats a loaf of bread a day. The Spanish are quite active. Even the elderly will go for their evening strolls. I love Spain. When I visited the hospital and had x-rays done, spoke with 2 doctors and was triaged by a nurse, all with no health insurance, and my total bill was €24.
That gives me an idea to do for this one. Actually, no, never mind, it's already done.
Again with no insurance or anything. I will never understand Americans being so opposed to universal health care. The fact I can pay a few quid a month into the NHS and not worry about choosing between getting food or getting treated for an illness is one of the best.
Okay, now let's see. Let's work on the thing I've been putting on. This mess.
First time I went to Ireland, I go through customs and the agent says to me, "Business or personal?" Personal. "Oh yeah, what's up? Visiting the in-laws." First time in Ireland. Yes.
So the stairs can go right here.
Well, why y'all standing around? Go get pee. What part of Ireland were you visiting? Seeing an elderly Chinese tourist pull down her grandkid's pants so he can take a crap on the sidewalk. It was in the entrance of Disneyland in Paris. Google spot the mainlander. Germany. Went on a road trip to Hamburg with my friend and her parents in their tiny little car. Dad drove us to the red light district and insisted that we go check it out. Left his wife and 25-year-old daughter in the back seat to ogle H through the glass. WTF.
No, I didn't mean to color it black. No.
In Venice, I saw someone's dog poop in front of two
Actually, no, that's a good idea.
churches, and then they didn't even
I'm
bother
happy I
to
did
pick
that.
it up. One poop equals one respect. Went to Spain. They weren't speaking Spanish. I learned that Catalan existed. This was years ago. And Galician and Basque. So 4 proper languages, including Castellano Spanish, and a lot of dialects on top. I went to Portugal and Greece and they offer beer at McDonald's. Awesome. And I'm not talking about a no paper cup, I mean a glass of beer. I was in Spain and I saw a group of American tourists wearing sombreros. I once saw a reality TV show where a family visited Japan and the dad kept saying gracias to everyone. His daughter explained that her dad's default is to speak in Spanish to any foreigner. Not even good Spanish, just basic words like a tourist talking to someone in South America. At pubs in England, youngish guys drinking bottles of Budweiser. People walking around drunk and nobody doing anything, like we're just going to leave this person blackout drunk on the side of the walkway.
Let me see what this looks like from outside.
Places really blew me away, especially France. Part of this is due to the amount European smoke, I guess, because at times in Paris the cobblestone felt paved with cigarette butts. The quality of your fast food surprised me. Everything from the street vendors to chain fast food like McDonald's was better quality than anything I'd gotten in Canada. The people at every tourist site trying to sell you their crap was new to me. Knew it was coming but was still surprised by how widespread it was. Really took me by surprise when I saw some of them pulling their water bottles that they sell out of the sewers in the morning, though it makes sense in hindsight. Prague was even cheaper than what I had been told. Was great to be eating like a king without spending much, which was refreshing after some of the more expensive countries. Munich blew me away by how well culture and modernization were integrated. Definitely my pick for city I wanted to live in the most. I lived in Spain for 9 months at one point and was trying
I just realized
to the supermarket in the middle of a week.
I'm the only one.
The city center was blocked off. I had to park and
Well, next to this guy in this game.
Having a giant block party, kegs and all, around noon.
Everyone just left.
New garbage trucks. I love Spain. Public urination is not uncommon. We might still get fined if a police officer happens to be around and you're pee on a building or something. It's only a fine though. You're not going to be put on a craxical list like some people in the US have been put on, apparently. Americans of Reddit, what were the biggest culture shocks you experienced when in Europe? People handle alcohol well. There are no cops. EU friend comes to America, tries to drink beer on bus. Cops get involved. Can't drink on the bus in London anymore. Difference in personal space. I went to Spain for a study abroad and the amount of physical space between me and other people made me extremely uncomfortable at first. Can feel you in my bubble. You should come to Sweden. After a while you'd be longing for someone to enter your space. I lived in Belgium for a year. The thing that most surprised me was the bureaucracy. Want to transfer classes in America.
I heard that humans need touch.
Spend 5 minutes filling out an online form and you're done. In Belgium, bring
something I heard. It's like scientifically, like humans need touch and like social interaction.
The other if it starts with K.
It's kind of cool, I guess.
Make sure you bring a
which explains a lot.
Photo. They will give you 2 copies of Form B. Fill it out. Bring it to the office of the department in question. 2 trips if the classes are in different departments. Then get Form C signed by both professors.
I hope I have enough space for stairs.
A lot of these offices are only open a few hours a day, a few days of the week, and not necessarily at the same time, which makes this a multi-day process. Getting transit passes,
that was by accident.
Registering a change of address. Basically anything that involves any branch of the public administration was a similar pain in the ass. It's obviously an oversimplification to say America is freer than Belgium, but life over there can sometimes feel very regimented. The Fanta. I'm guessing you didn't go to Paris, then. I was surprised that French people were so freaking nice to me. I am wandering around their country without knowing a single word of French, and every time I needed help a random old French man would help me. As someone on the bus to Prague from Vienna at this moment,
should I? Okay, I'm gonna double stare it.
Probably the time I went to an American restaurant
Because I don't think we
Germany
need that
and
much
everyone
space
ate
for
their
stairs.
burgers with forks and knives. Haha, reminds me of the time I went to KFC in Vietnam and they were eating fried chicken with knives and forks, as though they've heard somewhere that Westerners eat with knives and forks, not dissimilar to the Asians use chopsticks mantra, and decided to just go along with it. A Greek restaurant owner literally stuck a meatball in my mouth. I tasted thumb. Really nice guy. He didn't seem to think anything of it. The meatball was really good though. Could have been the taste of his thumb, I suppose. But I ordered a few meatballs
The taste of
and
his
wrote down
thumb.
his store's name so I could visit again if I ever return to Athens. I consider this culture shock because I have since come to assume that all Greeks are comfortable putting their thumbs in your mouth. Could have been the taste of his thumb, I suppose. Greek thumb is quite the delicacy.
The fuck is this conversation?
Why is it always about Americans? I'm Australian. I've traveled to Europe. Here me. I'm from South Carolina. A friend and I were having lunch in London during our trek through Europe and noticed a lot of business women with facial piercings. I'm talking full business pantsuit and lip nose rings. You just don't see that down here. Oh, and the two women having a meeting at the table beside us said frick about every fourth word. People not being so uptight about everything. I lived in Italy for a few years in the early 90s and also traveled to Germany a fair bit during that time. And all the various European folks, Italians and Germans, mostly, but also some Brits, Poles, etc. My family and I met were just totally free and chill about everything. Mom died.
Okay, I don't know
She was
about
lovely.
this.
Oh, yeah, but that's life. Car got stolen. It's only a short walk to work anyway. The cops will sort it out soon enough.
Really black.
I was fairly young back then.
Really
But
white.
let that kind of stuff be treated like it was the little end of the world. So I was kind of blown away by people not having a frickin' conniption 40 or 50 times a year. I don't know if it's just a heck of a coincidence or what, but I've noticed since we got back to the States in 1995 that all of my friends who either A. have spent time in Europe outside the US, in general, or B. are not from the US, in the first place are able to handle life with about a million times less stress than my friends who were born here and have never left. I will answer the other way around. I'm French, and the biggest culture shock I had when I went to the USNY and NJ was the fact that some people were terrified of strangers. We had a rental car and were trying to go to one place we couldn't find on the map. In Europe, it's quite common to stop your car
Yeah, that was low-key
on the
bothering me.
sidewalk and ask pedestrians, but
I
in
admit
America,
it
people
was
were
bothering
freaking
me.
afraid of approaching. I was like 14, not on the driver's seat obviously, at the time, and people wouldn't come help me. I remember a woman telling me, "Sorry, I won't come near you, sweetie." Well, it was either fear or disgust of my French stench, I guess. People in Europe were better at speaking at English than I was at speaking their language. In 3 different countries, people stopped me from trying to speak their language and just spoke to me in English. Looking back, it is highly possible that my English, and not my German, actually improved when I visited Germany. It was fascinating. Restaurants are only open for lunch, then dinner, and are closed in between. In France, we showed up to a restaurant at 1 PM and they said they couldn't serve us. We just bought some snacks and had a large dinner, so not a big deal. Being from the San Francisco Bay Area, I'm just used to restaurants staying open all day. The fact that people really do react negatively to you being from America. I went to Germany while Bush was president. At one of the bars, a girl my age berated my friend and I about Bush for a solid 30 minutes, despite the fact that neither my friend nor I voted for him.
Okay, so up here is just gonna be all.
She couldn't get
It's gonna be all bedrooms
like
and
Germany, they
other
leave
stuff.
the milk out of meals and it gets warm. Warm beer. Teenagers drink.